This is Student Scene. I'm your host, Joel Marks. We're broadcasting on WNHU West Haven 88.7 FM. My guest today is Jack Davis, who is Professor Emeritus of English at the University of Connecticut at Storrs. And Jack is telling us about Marcel Proust, on whom he is an authority for sure. And we've been hearing something about Proust's literary biography and how remarkable it was that his masterpiece, À la recherche du temps perdu, In Search of Lost Time, came from such a person who gave very little indication that he could produce such a work, having been, as Jack described him, a dilettante and a flatterer of the aristocracy and so forth, and yet he wrote something which Jack characterized as providing a window on reality, more so than any other literary work that Jack knows, and perhaps even more so than life itself as Jack experiences it. So tell our audience something about this great masterpiece itself.
You will enjoy Proust if you're interested in any of the three following subjects. The first is love. The second is art. The third is our lives in society. Proust's book constitutes, among other things, the greatest, perhaps, study in the French tradition of the pathology of romantic love. That is the French subject par excellence, and to say what it means very briefly, it is that while in love, people are subject to an interesting psychosis. They are never more interesting. Their personalities are never more fragmented. They are never more divided against themselves than when they are in love. And Proust's love includes both homosexual love and heterosexual love. I should say Proust was homosexual, quite unhappily so, not because he was a homosexual. His love life is extremely complicated, and I won't go into it, but he does study the microstructure of love in a way that some people find exhausting, but other people who are interested in love find enthralling. Then there is the second subject of art. This is really about consciousness and creation, about the way any person constructs a world for himself as he lives and develops and revises and changes. The difference between him and most of us is simply that his product is permanent, and it appears between covers of a novel. But it's very much about the search for wisdom and objectivity against the great odds of being human. Being human is almost an insurmountable obstacle for Proust to truth. The third is about a great change in French society, the decline of the aristocracy and the rise of the nouveau riche bourgeois. And this is full of marvelous ironies and the pathos of the ups and downs of fortune as he sees them in French society of the late 19th and early 20th century.
One comment you made was that Proust found that being human is an obstacle to truth. Would you please expand upon that, Jack?
Yeah. He, perhaps I can put it this way. He thought that human life was inherently prevented from achieving truth by vanity, the needs of the ego, the constant parade of drama that each person provides as his social self. He once said that people we never know another person except in a work of art. The defenses and obstacles to knowledge of other people and of ourselves are occasionally in wonderful works of art overcome. So when we read a great work of art, our essential existential loneliness, which, if his premises are right, is with us all the time, is at least momentarily breached, and we know and feel the world from another perspective. And this is, since the perspective is so wonderfully sensitive and knowledgeable and morally shrewd, we feel it as a great liberation.
Yes, but you noted just in passing that the same difficulty would seem to arise in knowing oneself. So it's not just a question of existential loneliness, it's existential what? Alienation from oneself. So does this great work of Marcel Proust, À la recherche du temps perdu, does this reveal Proust not only as the other to a reader, but to Proust himself?
Yes, because the story is told in the first person, and it's a great story of defeat, wasted time, a life that has practically no satisfaction. Most of the book is about other people, though Marcel is the I of the novel. And when the final volume begins, he has just come out of an institution after a breakdown, and his life seems to him totally pointless. In the last 100 or 150 pages of the novel, he has a kind of epiphany, in which what happens is that all the weaknesses, all the pain, all the unfulfilled longings, and the artistic vocation that he thought he didn't have, suddenly all of that is transformed. And all of the, you might have said that he was up to then, to use William Butler Yeats, the great Irish poet's description of human life, a blind man battering blind men. And then in the final pages of the great novel, there comes to him in a kind of revelation or epiphany, the sudden vision of life as he will represent it in his novel. And the representation of life in all of its inadequacies and so forth will be the redemption of his life.
Well, so this makes the entire mammoth work sound like it was certainly planned out from the start. So when it begins in the child's bedroom, Marcel's bedroom as a child?
No, not in his
Well, that is okay. You can fill in the details there, but at the very beginning of this great work, he has, you think, already thought through where it is going to lead after thousands of pages?
No, we know that he didn't. And the novel kept multiplying. It was like a cancer. And he couldn't stop writing. And the idea of the final epiphany is sketched quite early. But the much of the necessary detail to make it the story of an artistic vocation and the story of the developing consciousness of a young man and the love theme required enormous expansion. And there are parts of the novel that he did not revise. He was the kind of writer, the kind of person, I guess you would say this, that when he started to write, when he started to think, if he sounded one note, he had to sound the whole chord. So he had to cut. And we have in critical editions of the novels these sketches, much longer, much, and in some ways different, that one would like to have. But he finally had to cut kind of mercilessly in order to make the novel manageable. But that's the way he thought. It wasn't just endless free association. The the editions kept enriching the theme and varying it, and bringing new and related matters into the field of his vision.